In 1939, there was a woman born named Anna Mae Bullock. She was born in Nutbush, Tennessee, the daughter of Zelma Bullock, a factory worker, and Floyd Richard Bullock, a Baptist deacon who was a Baptist deacon, farm overseer, and factory worker. She is and was a descendant of slaves. She is and was an African American woman, European, and a small fraction of Native American descent. This lady named Anna Mae was one whose mother left Nutbush, Tennessee, because she was escaping a very turbulent lifestyle. And when she left Nutbush, Tennessee, Anna Mae lived with her grandmother until the death of her grandmother, and then she moved to St. Louis, Missouri with her mother. Anna Mae Bullock is Tina Turner. She is the one who is one of the most popular vocal female artists of all times. And in 1984, Tina Turner was given an opportunity to sing a song. However, she thought that this song was a simple song. She did not want to sing the song. She rejected the song. She rejected it under the idea that the song applied to her heavy voice would not sound right. And she felt that she could not make the song her own. But this particular song, Tina Turner not only made her own, it hit the Billboard charts. If you don't know this song, I'm going to invite you to think about singing it with me. Yo, hold on. What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. What's love but a second-hand emotion? What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? What's love got to do with it? It became such a popular song that Tina Turner song that not only did it hit the Billboard charts, it also became a popular movie that Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett became leading characters. Many people thought when the song and the movie What's Love Got to Do With It had a reflection of her life and her marriage with Ike Turner, but the reality is Tina never wrote the song. Someone wrote the song for her. And when you think about what's love got to do with it, it is a song of question. It's a song asking what is love and what does love have to do in any type of relationship? Is it a secondhand emotion? What is love? Can love cause our heart to be broken? What is love? And in the text that we are looking at today, one could ask the question that in John chapter 13, we find out what love really is. Here in John chapter 13, we find out the real meaning of love, and we find out the meaning of love in a very different kind of way. This month, we begin a sermon series that is entitled Live Out Loud. It is the actual VBS curriculum that we are using with the children, but there is something to be said about living out loud. Living out loud is a series and a sermon series that gives us practical ways to live our faith out loud. And week one is how we live our faith out loud through love. What does love have to do with it? Because what we see in John chapter 13, Jesus is now in the final stages of his journey. Jesus has now walked with the disciples. He's performed miracles. All the disciples have been called to be on this journey. And here in John chapter 13, you're coming to the culmination of Jesus's life. You're coming close to the end of where Jesus is about to make his assignment fulfill. Here in John chapter 13, Jesus is now coming, and right before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his time had come to an end. It was time for Jesus to leave the world and return to his heavenly Father. And in doing so, him having to now leave this world and return to his heavenly Father, Jesus understands that he has now loved his own, those who were in the world, and his love to them to the end. Jesus, in this particular beginning part of the text, is now getting ready to eat this meal that is in progress. And as he's preparing to eat this meal that is in progress, the devil had already prompted Judas. We know that Jesus is aware that Judas is going to betray him. We know that Jesus is aware that Judas is going to sell him out for a couple of shekels. Jesus is coming to the table knowing how his end is going to be. And while he knows while his end is going to be, he is now getting ready to help the disciples see what they are to do after his end comes. Jesus now takes his clothing off, his outer clothing, and he wraps a towel around his waist, and he pours water into a basin in order to begin to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that is wrapped around him. And when he does this, Simon Peter is questioning, why are you going to wash our feet? And when we look at this particular text, there is some places here that we begin to see what love really does have to do with it. Here in the beginning part of the text, we see some of the experiences of Jesus, and here he first starts out and demonstrating that what love has to do with it is that he loved the world before the world even knew it. It says in the text, for God so loved his world that he gave his only begotten son. Jesus came knowing that love is the response to all things. Jesus is the response of love to the world from his Father. And when knowing that that is the case, he comes to the disciples at this dinner table, knowing that one of them is going to betray him. And what does he do? He responds in love. Now, how many of us can act like Jesus, knowing that if someone in this room was getting ready to set you out to dry, would you truly respond in love, or would you be like Tina and say, oh, it's a secondhand emotion? Would you be able to respond in love when someone comes to you and harms you? Jesus knows what Judas is about to do. But what does he do? He responds in love. His response in love is that he gets down on his knees and he washes the disciples' feet. It's important to know this is the ultimate act of love. This is the ultimate act of humility, because in biblical days, the disciples as well as Jesus, they did not have, as I said in the first service, they didn't have red bottom shoes. They didn't have Prada. They didn't have flats. They didn't have Nikes. They had regular sandals. They walked through the dirtiest parts of the world in their spaces, and dirt got all over their feet. This was a place of humility, because even when we do foot washing here on Monday, Thursday, some people really don't want their feet washed, and some of it seems like, why would somebody wash my feet? But here, Jesus is responding out of love. They don't necessarily know what they mean by love yet, but Jesus here is demonstrating to the disciples that real love involves preparation and thoughtfulness. He thought enough of the disciples to prepare them for the road ahead. Because when Simon Peter said, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus' reply was, you do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you will understand. At this particular point, the disciples had no clue. Why is Jesus washing our feet? Why is there preparation? Why is there thoughtfulness? And the reality is Jesus is equipping and demonstrating to the disciples of what real love is. Jesus is equipping the disciples and giving an example of what it means to love. And how does it mean to love? It's because real love serves and is humble. Real love, it serves and is humble. Real love allows us to slow down long enough to see the importance that other people need to see the love of Christ, not through what we say, but through our actions. Real love is emphasizing that it's not just a feeling, it's not just an emotion. It is a commitment to action that is a response tied to who Jesus is. Real love. What does love have to do with it? And Peter telling Jesus, no, you'll never have to wash my feet. Jesus answered, unless I wash you, you have no part with me. And then Lord Simon Peter replied, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well. Here, Simon Peter thought, well, if you're going to wash me, wash all of me. But Jesus is responding in such a way that I love how Jesus talks. He talks in phrases and parables. He makes it visual for the visual learner. And he says, those who've had a bath only need to wash their feet. Their whole body is already clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you. Jesus is setting an example to give Peter to begin to listen. What are you saying, Jesus? Jesus is letting them know that you are already clean, but something as a part of your grouping, someone among you is dirty. Now, what do you mean someone among me is dirty? He says this in such a way that Peter could begin to see that there are places in our lives that seem clean, but there are areas that require attention. The feet required attention. Not only does the feet require attention, Jesus brings light to the fact that the disciples are part of a whole community, that the disciples make up one body, and one among them is dirty. That's good news, because when we understand that love is real, when we understand that love is humility, when we understand that love is serving one another, then we understand that a part of us being in community as Christians is we come together as a whole body. Jesus let Simon Peter know that while you all may be clean, the rest of you, not everyone is clean. And when he finished washing their feet, Jesus puts his clothes on and returned to his place. And then he says, do you understand what I've done for you? He asked the disciples, do you all have any idea what it is that I have now done? Do you have any inkling to what's happening before you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you rightly do so, for that is what I am. But as your teacher and your Lord, having washed your feet, now you should also wash one another's feet. I have set an example before you. Jesus is setting an example for the disciples, because remember, in the beginning he says, you don't understand now, but you'll understand after a while. He's letting the disciples know that what I am doing for you, you should also do for one another. What I am doing for you, I'm not doing it in a place of authoritarian government. I'm not doing for you as one who has a title. I'm not doing for you because I have authority. What I am doing for you is I'm showing you that real love is when you have power, authority, and a title, you humble yourself and serve others. It's a very dangerous thing when we miss the example that Jesus is teaching, because what he wanted the disciples to know, I may be the teacher, I may be the master, but I'm humbling and lowering myself so that you can see how to serve someone else. Church, this morning, real love isn't about saying to someone that you love Jesus. Real love is showing the love of Christ through who you are. Real love is getting down on your knees and being willing to serve somebody else. Real love is the kind of love that allows you to serve those who are the least of these. Real love. It's what Jesus is asking the disciples to do. He is showing them. He's not just saying, I want you to do it. He's not saying to the disciples, I'm telling you what to do. I'm showing you how to do this in the most humble way possible. So he sets the example. He washes their feet. And the text continues in John chapter 13. The stage is set. Jesus is now going to be betrayed. They're sitting at the dinner table. He tells them, one among you will betray me. And just like good folks, they turn in at the table. They want to know, who is it? Who is it? But that wasn't the most important part. What Jesus wanted them to see is that when we get to this place, he says that I'm getting ready to go somewhere. You can't come now, but you can follow later. Jesus is setting the stage, and he says, but before I go, now I have one new command. Now there were some other commands before that, but now the new command. One, love one another just as I have loved you. Jesus is all about the message of love. What's love got to do with it? Love is who we are as Christians. Love is what we do. When we are Christians, we are the ones that welcome everybody, not just into God's church, but into our lives. When we are Christians, we don't have hate. When we are Christians, we don't have any divide in our communities. When we have love, when we accept Christ, we accept the fact that our command is to love one another. Jesus doesn't say, I'm going to love just 11. He loves all of the disciples. Jesus doesn't say, I'm only coming for one community. He comes for everyone. Jesus has no discriminatory actions with his love. And church, the reality as we talk about living our faith out loud, we can say we Christians, but people will know us by our actions. People will know us about the ways we serve. People will know us when they see the love of Christ in our ability to serve, not inside the church, but the community in which God has called us to serve. Jesus served even the one who was going to betray him. That's real love. And so I can imagine that one of the reasons, and I'm making this up, is speculation, but I'm going to imagine for myself that Tina Turner may have had some struggle with the song because her father was a Baptist deacon. She may have had some struggles with the song because she grew up in the church and she had been exposed to what real love was. But church, it is our time in this generation to go out and to show people that the love of Christ is in his people and that we will be followers of Christ. We will be like the disciples that set examples. We are this generation disciples. Peter, Paul, John, Matthew, Bartholomew, they all have done their journey. Are we showing the love of Christ? We are the living text. And as we move through this sermon series, how will we live our faith out loud? Will people come in contact with us and ask the question, does the church really love us? Or do they want us to just come in the pews? We're living in a time where people, I was talking to someone who said, we've been watching your service for months before we decide to come in. I was like, oh, okay. They're not watching to see if they like the style of worship. They're watching to see, is this a place I'm willing to step my foot in? Because we live in a world that people have been hurt by the dirtiest of things. People are walking and they're holding things on the inside, and they don't want to come in a place where their heart will be broken. And as Christians, we need to be able to show people love from the time they walk in this door to the time they leave. Real love. That's the command that Jesus has for us. As I prepare to close, yesterday, we took the youth to Lake Needwood. Had a great time. It was hot. It was beautiful. A couple of us got stuck on the boat. Thanks, William Skinker. They didn't want us to stay on the boat in the water. But by the time I got home, and the heat had got me, so I had to take a nap, and I woke up. And I woke up to the fact that we had dropped a bomb on Iran. For a war that we have no business in. And I'm listening to the text where Jesus, the one who has all power, the one who can put an end to everything, he could have stopped Judas, but he served him. The reason I struggle with it is because people will think this is what Christians do, that we show love through power and hate. We are to show power through the authority of Jesus Christ in love. What would it have looked like if we would have expressed love over war? What would it look like if we are to express love over hate? Church, it's time for Christians to be the next example for the next generation of what it means to be a disciple of Christ. Amen.
Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand, and everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. And I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I've built my life on Jesus. 'Cause he's never let me down. He's faithful in every season. So why would he fail now? He won't.